Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Incubator Podcast. We're back today for Journal Club. It is Thursday. Daphna, good morning.
Good
Where are you
morning. Good
taking us today?
morning. I told you I'm going to finish out the week. Another medication paper. One of my favorite topics. Caffeine.
You're on a roll.
I
I
am.
know which paper you're doing, and I'm quite excited for the review of that paper.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, I know you're a fan of coffee, strong coffee, and BPD papers, so that's this one for you for
Combines
sure.
both of my
Yeah.
interests.
This is in the journal Perinatology. It's entitled "Effects of Higher Caffeine Dosing on Rates of Bronchopulmonary Dysplasia and Neurodevelopmental Outcomes." Lead author Sarah Fleischhacker and senior author Sorba Verma. This is coming from NYU, Hassenfeld Children's Hospital. So the kind of background I think is useful, obviously, and we've done a pretty good review of the CAP trial and caffeine for people who want to take a listen to that. We interviewed Dr. Barbara Schmidt on episode 136. She's one of our giants of neonatology. And we have a board review PowerPoint on caffeine for apnea of
And
prematurity.
for the people who ask, we get emails a lot about where do we find these sort of series. We sort of did
Yeah.
a few topics during a lull between two board exams. So if you go in the neonatology review page on the
Website.
website and you click on show notes there will be a list of it's one of the tabs. It's called show notes on the neonatology review tab, and you'll have a little thing. It's our first series, the caffeine for the management of
It was a fun one.
yeah.
So, obviously, the background states BPD is the most common complication associated with prematurity. Caffeine is one of the most common medications used in the NICU based on its utility in the CAP trial, caffeine therapy for apnea of prematurity study. And in that study, they looked at infants between 500 and 1,250 grams who received a loading dose of 20 mg per kg, followed by a maintenance dose of 5 mg per kg of caffeine. And babies who were in the intervention arm had reduced rates of BPD compared to the placebo group. So pretty much became the standard of care practice to give a caffeine bolus and continue on maintenance dose to infants born less than 34 weeks until 34 weeks post-menstrual age. Notably, since the CAP trial, kind of our definitions for BPD have changed a little bit. And as we proceed through this conversation, it should be noted that the BPD criteria is the Jensen criteria, the newest NICHD definition from 2019. Now, subsequently, other studies were done looking at high dose caffeine compared to standard dose caffeine in preterm newborns who are at risk of lung disease, showed kind of unclear if higher doses improve neurodevelopmental disability or duration of hospitalizations. But there was a signal that higher doses may reduce rates of BPD. Now, this was done, most of these studies were in large groups of babies that included more mature babies, kind of all babies less than 32 weeks gestation. So they wanted really to evaluate efficacy, safety of using a higher maintenance caffeine dosing in infants born less than or equal to 28 weeks gestation. And again, its impact on neurodevelopmental outcomes and the outcome of BPD. So this was a retrospective observational cohort study, single center study at New York University, which is a level 4 regional perinatal center. Eligible infants were born at less than or equal to 28 weeks gestation. They must have received caffeine between 2017 and 2023. They were excluded if they didn't receive caffeine in the first week of life, if they had congenital anomalies or congenital heart disease requiring surgical intervention that might affect respiratory drive, if they had anomalies of lung development, or anomalies that were felt to impact neurodevelopmental outcomes. So standard practice in their unit is to give that loading dose of 20 mg per kg for infants less than 34 weeks, followed by a maintenance dose of 5 mg per kg per day until 34 weeks. Now, in the last 5 years of this cohort, there was a shift to practice to increase the maintenance dose to 7.5 to a range of 7.5 to 10 mg per kg per day for infants born at less than or equal to 28 weeks gestation. So infants were assigned to low dose based on what they were already getting in clinical practice. So 62 infants were in the low dose group. And so they considered low dose as an average daily dose of less than or equal to 6 mg per kg per day, which would encompass those babies getting the 5 mg per kg per day regimen. Or high dose, there were 111 of those babies. That still got a 20 mg per kg bolus, but received an average daily dose of greater than 6 mg per kg per day. The primary objective was to compare rates and severity of BPD in the infants who received low versus high daily caffeine doses. A secondary objective was to compare neurodevelopmental outcomes using the Bayley scores. Most infants were followed up at their outpatient clinic at 6, 12, 18, and 24 months. So there were some differences. Birth length and 5-minute APGARs were lower in the low dose group. Now, rates of maternal chorioamnionitis, which we know is linked to BPD, were higher in the low dose group. So they had smaller birth length, lower 5-minute APGARs, but they had also higher rates of maternal chorioamnionitis, again, in the low dose group. And I think that is potentially important for us. So the average daily dose of caffeine in the low dose group was 5.15 mg per kg per day, while the average daily dose in the high dose group was 8.18 mg per kg per day. There's no statistically significant difference in the duration of treatment or the need to decrease the dose secondary to adverse effects such as tachycardia. There were significantly higher rates of surgically treated PDA, a number of packed red blood cell transfusions given prior to 36 weeks, and duration of invasive ventilation, as well as patients discharged home on respiratory support seen in the low dose group. Though conversely, the duration of non-invasive ventilation was longer in the high dose group. So when looking at the BPD outcomes, there was no significant difference between the rates of BPD overall. However, there was a statistically significant difference in the severity of BPD between the two groups. So for the low dose caffeine, they had grade 1 or mild BPD in 30% of patients compared to nearly 36% of patients. Grade 2 or moderate was 35% of patients compared to 60% of patients in the high dose caffeine group. And grade 3, severe, 35% in the low dose caffeine compared to 7%. Again, it's just only 6 patients, but 7% in the high dose caffeine group. When evaluating the Bayley scores at 6, 12, 18, and 24 months, there was a difference in cognitive scores at 6 months. This was not seen at subsequent follow-up. And now looking for confounding variables, they used a logistic regression and linear regression for BPD outcomes and the 6-month Bayley cognitive score. There continued to be a significant difference between the two groups, with the higher caffeine group having improved outcomes, so less severe BPD and better cognitive scores. Variables such as gestational age, birth weight, and sepsis were also significant predictors of severe BPD rates. We know that from previous studies. And severe BPD itself was a significant predictor of worse Bayley cognitive scores at 6-month follow-up. So they conclude that the study adds to the data that may support higher maintenance dose in this population of less than or equal to 28 weeks. There was a significant reduction in rate of severe BPD and an improvement in the Bayley cognitive score at 6 months. And importantly, there were no differences in adverse outcomes noted between the two groups, such that caffeine at higher doses may be safe and may confer some additional protection for these babies. Thoughts?
What are your thoughts? You love caffeine.
I love caffeine.
It's interesting
My
because
thoughts are go ahead, you go.
no, because I was going to mention the discussion we had after our discussion on the On with Vaughn
That's
episode
right.
with Dr. White. You are a neurodevelopmental expert, and you said, "Can we retime our caffeines to
Mhm.
morning time caffeine?" Everybody was on board, and then the question came up of like, what if you give a loading dose too close to the morning dose of caffeine?
See? It's
Do
fine.
you do you give it the next morning, or do you wait another day? And you were like, "No, it's fine. Like there's no issue." So I know you advocate for more caffeine. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are
Well, and I
on.
myself have experienced adverse effects of caffeine, so I know that I've had to cut back on my caffeine. When we moved to South Florida, I realized that I was getting cafecitos, 5 or 6
Oh yeah,
times a day passed in
oh
the
yeah,
unit, and then I that is not something I had been drinking in Gainesville, Florida. So, um, anyways, I think that, well, caffeine is one of the few interventions that we have good data for in the NICU. Um, uh, Now, could we go higher on caffeine? I don't know. We have lots of babies in our unit where I feel like we are reducing caffeine quite a bit in our unit, for tachycardia. Does it always fix the tachycardia? No, it usually
nope,
doesn't in those babies that just stay tachycardic. But I think there's a lot of discussion about how we use caffeine. What's the timing for caffeine? In every unit that I've been in, we've done things differently. In one unit, we started a dose and we never checked it and we never increased the dose. In
really
one unit, we checked the dose. We checked the levels and we increased the dose based on the levels. In our current unit, we weight base the dose weekly in our unit. And we don't really have good data for any of those practices. So I think for young,
interesting.
early neonatal professionals, I think people think, oh yeah, caffeine, that's solved. But I think there's still work to be done.
I was gonna say I was not very impressed with that particular paper,
Mm.
from the standpoint that I don't know how much stake I place on a 6 months Bailey. Um,
Sure. Yes. And the CAP trial showed improvements at school age, but that didn't bear out into adolescence.
But that's not really. But the point of this paper is like, could I give more caffeine, basically? But it doesn't seem to be causing harm. That's already first. I think that
Yeah.
this is quite good. Um, but does is that going to is am I going to be prompted to increase the dose of caffeine on babies because a retrospective study shows that at 6 months Bailey the cognitive outcomes are marginally better? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, I 100% agree with you, but a reduction in severe BPD is no small thing. That means with this criteria, invasive mechanical ventilation at 36 weeks.
Yeah, that's a
It's a small
uh,
group,
yeah.
obviously, but
It's a small group, and it's, how to say this? Mm,
hmm,
it is, yeah, I mean, yeah, the BPD
I
outcomes
also
are,
think the average caffeine doses weren't that different, 6 and 8
yeah, yeah,
overall.
yeah,
Um, Most everywhere I've worked, we've been doing 10 per kilo, so
yeah.
we'll see.
Okay. Alright,
Okay,
buddy. I will see you next week. Tomorrow is Neo News. Stay tuned for that, and then I'll see you Monday.
sounds good.